Discussion keeps the world turning.
This is Roundtable.
You're listening to Roundtable. I'm Steve Hatherley today with Yushan and Yushun. Coming up, another National Reading Week has come and gone here in China, and according to a fresh report, the country's online literature scene is bigger than ever, and it's not just as entertainment, but as a real economic powerhouse. The market value is skyrocketing. The writers are coming from everywhere, and those stories are no longer limited to one location. But as web novels reach further around the world, the industry is now rushing to figure out the rules on AI and quality control. Our podcast listeners can find us at Roundtable China on Apple Podcasts. Don't forget as well that we love to hear from you. So send your voice notes our way, roundtablepodcast@qq.com. Once again, roundtablepodcast@qq.com. And now, as National Reading Week comes to a close here in the country, a new report from the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences shows that online literature is no longer just a digital phenomenon. It's a cultural and economic force. The market value surpassed 50 billion yuan last year, with writers pouring in from every corner of society: food delivery workers, university teachers, ride-hailing drivers, and even research scientists. And the stories themselves, they're jumping off the screen and into print and anime and TV. You name it, they are everywhere. And it's fueling a massive adaptation market. Chinese online literature, it's going global as well, with Latin America emerging as the fastest growing market, and AI translation opening new doors to new readers in every corner of the globe. There are challenges, of course, but the growth is impressive. Yeah, this new report, again, it came out from the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences on Chinese online literature in 2025, and it shows some pretty impressive numbers.
I kind of anticipated that the result of all of these online literatures can be, the achievement and how popular they are, because I can still remember that first of all, a lot of these local Chinese web browsers, I don't know, for some reason, they're all promoting online literature, online novels. And another thing is that I think a lot of my classmates, they all have their own app of online novels and hiding their phone under the desk and trying to go through some episodes during the classes.
Why are you making this sound like this is so alienating to you? That's how my 12 years old
really,
was
I never
like.
do that because I'm not a online literature reader, but I've seen a lot of my classmates do that.
Yeah, true.
But the thing is that the stats are also showing how popular these online literatures are now. First of all, more readers, more writers, more books. As we mentioned, in 2025, the online literature reading market surpassed 50 billion yuan, marking a more than 16% increase compared to last year. The number of writers rose by nearly 1.5 million to over 32 million, while the total number of literary works increased by over 4 million to nearly 46 million.
That's a lot.
Wow.
It's a lot of people writing.
Yeah.
It's a lot of content that they're writing. And the whole growth is, over 16%, 16.6% specifically. That's really significant growth in just 12 months' time. And these writers, I mentioned it already briefly, they're coming from everywhere, right? Which is a wonderful thing about this. It's the entry barrier is basically zero.
Yeah, as long as you have a design for a story, you can be an online literature writer from the fields of IT and academia to e-commerce. Everybody, literally, they can bring new and diverse perspective to the literature landscape. And on one very much well-known and leading platform called Yuewen platform alone, you'll find over 470 science researchers and 3,010 university teachers, 6,010 food delivery workers, and more than 4,000 ride-hailing, truck, and designated drivers. That's all contributing to the literary revolution.
The writers have their own tags. So when you register the platform, you kind of tell them
Who you are, what you do for a living.
I think it's, perhaps among one of the questions for registration. Me personally, I haven't registered to know exactly what's going on up there. But yeah, this is the data from China Daily. But also, I think I mentioned this brand earlier, Yuwen platform. It's one of the groups that produce a lot of the online literature, specifying them into genres and stuff. But it's not just digital platforms that are thriving this growth, that China online literature is also making waves in print and other forms of media. So Yuwen, for example, the first time I heard about this...
TV shows, right? They put out over 100 TV shows.
Yeah, but in the meantime, the first time I've ever heard of Yuwen was when it collaborated with Himalaya, which is the leading audiobook platforms. So for other genre appreciators like audiobook listeners or manga series readers or watchers and anime watchers, we also get to know a lot of these online literature works thanks to the collaboration between these online literature platforms and with all the other kind of medias.
It's people working together from different outlets to make this grow. And speaking of growing, it's gone global.
Yeah, a lot of these online literatures are also popular in overseas countries, and overseas revenue hit more than 5.6 billion yuan. That's about $820 million US dollars in 2025.
Big market.
Yeah.
Yes, and one of the standout trends is the rapid rise in Latin America as the fastest growing market for Chinese online literature. And the fact is, 9 of the top 10 countries with the biggest increase in monthly active users on platforms like web novel are in Latin America, with Brazil leading the chart.
Yeah, it's kind of awesome. That I don't know why. I don't know if they know why. All of a sudden, this type of literature has become so popular in places like Brazil. Brazil, they saw a 779% growth rate. That's incredible. The U.S. is also showing strong engagement. India is showing strong engagement as well for this type of Chinese online literature. Really, really cool to see.
Yeah, you mentioned why. I think part of the reason is that we kind of need to have AI to thank on that rapid growth too.
How so?
Because by the end of 2025, Web Novel had facilitated the AI translation of over 17,000 works, enhancing accessibility and engagement across diverse linguistic markets. So that's a big thing. We use AI every day. We use AI for work every day, and AI translation, as we've all seen, has its own accuracy, and the matching tone is exactly where the content from a different language can really resonate more deeply and feels culturally and emotionally on point to the target audience, such as those new Chinese online literature fans in Brazil.
That is kind of my stereotype on online literature. So I'm not sure, is it true? Online literature to me is more like short video platforms in the whole streaming industry.
Wait, that's way before the streaming industry even existed.
I know.
Right?
Online literature is more like the short video in the literature area. That's what I think. Because a lot of these topics in online literature are more like, time machine, like transporting you to 1,000 years ago, or the alpha, the alpha boss is falling in love with the maid, something like that. That is kind of the my stereotype on online literature. They are also kind of easily
digestible,
and also appropriate for AI to get into that area because it is easily analyzed and you can come up with thousands of or millions of same type of article in that area. So maybe that is also one of the disadvantages of the use of AI when we are just digesting the same content.
And that would be the good side of things, I suppose, but there are downsides too. For example, the undisclosed use of AI or the quality of it, mass-produced content that can, or perhaps has to at least some extent, disrupted the normal order of content creation, if I can say it like that. The report that came out notes that last year, under the impact of AI, the growing impact of AI, the industry has started to put out some new norms and production mechanisms to try to kind of keep control of it a little bit. Different platforms, depending on, of course, their business model and their content ecosystems, they're rolling out their own management, their own review standards to try and keep up a little bit. But still, it's nice to see, isn't it? And I think my favorite part of that whole thing is that everyone's getting involved.
Right.
Scientists and truck drivers and students and teachers, and just, it's for everyone. So that's cool. So if you have a great idea, go ahead and put pen to paper. Well, pen to paper sounds so archaic now, doesn't it?
That kind of also leads us to the writer that we're recommending to y'all today, who is Ren He, better known as the Speaking Pork Trouter. 会说话的肘子. He is a Chinese online novelist born in 1990 in central China's Henan province, and he's best known for hit web novels like Spare Me, Great Lord, 大王饶命, the first sequence, 第一序列, and also 夜的命名术, the nomenclature of night, etc. I've heard of none of the above, but they sound so online literature-ish.
Exactly.
With the name and the way they
fit into my stereotypes.
Exactly. And he began writing online fiction ever since 2016. And his breakout work, Spare Me, Great Lord, shot to the top of the original literature ranking for male readers in 2018. And also his other works, the first sequence, was selected for China's key online literature support program in 2020 and has even been permanently archived by the National Library of China. Whoa. Then, here is a big one. In December 2021, he won the 4th Maodun New Writers Award for the online literature category. So really, his work is piling up with content and his own style, and is earning him a lot of the popularities here. And here, let's hear from him, from our writer today, Ren He.
Hi everyone, I'm Ren He, better known as the Speaking Pork Trotter, the author of Your Majesty Forgive Me, The Nomenclature of Night, and Green Mountain, Jingshan. Today I'd love to recommend a novel I've recently enjoyed. It's called I Clean Up Garbage in a Wasteland World. The story follows a young girl named Zhu Ning who finds herself transported into a cyberpunk-style wasteland, working as a cleaner for a sanitation company. In one story, she comes across a fish-headed man carrying a briefcase on an abandoned subway line. In another, she stumbles into a hot pot restaurant that eats people. And in a haunted house, even the furniture comes alive, hunting down its owner. Reading her stories can feel intense and deeply unsettling at times, but what truly draws me in is not just the surreal, out-of-this-world imagination, it's the depth beneath it all. In each story, you can sense traces of her personal trauma, her insight into the wounds within human nature, and her reflections on the fractures in society. After finishing each story, you are either left wanting more or pausing to reflect on the tensions and conflicts it quietly brings to the surface.
A hot pot restaurant that serves people.
I knew that you're going to mention that. That kind of sci-fi plus humorous plus thrilling vibe, actually really attractive. And I think I'm going to take a look on this.
Why is that kind of genre, well, not really a genre, but that kind of like wacky, wild, bizarre type of topic so attractive to you?
First of all, I am into sci-fi, and then the name, you clean up garbage in a wasteland world, it reminds me of that robot. What's the name of that?
Wall-E?
Wall-E. It was going around that wasteland.
What was his girlfriend's name?
I don't know.
Eva.
Oh, yes.
That was it, right?
That gave me that kind of vibe, and I kind of want to explore what is going to happen in that area. And there, in that kind of wasteland, there's always a futuristic upper world in there. So, it can be a kind of exploration when you're going to that story and maybe having more interesting and intriguing story behind that.
Yeah, I agree with you. What was the other example? Encountering a man on the subway with a fish head.
Yeah.
That's cool to me. And I love it too because of the unpredictability. Love stories are great and they're very dramatic and they're very touching and we can relate to those because we've gone through similar experiences. But with this kind of horror style nature, hot pot serving humans or fish head man on the subway going to work, we don't experience that. So because we never experience it, we don't know what's going to happen next in the story. So, yeah, I too, Yushun, am attracted to these types of weird, fun, quirky stories.
Well, I'm not really so much into this genre just yet because back then when I was reading a lot of the online literature, I either read online romance stories like the rest of my, the friends back then, or I go for the really documentary side of the society, the homicidal stories that adapts from real crime stories and histories locally here in China and stuff like that. So personally, I don't want the really imaginary side of reading to occupy the majority of the content that I encounter, but rather on just how real society can get and how much of the world around me that I don't see or will ever experience, but I kind of want to know. I think in the meantime, that kind of originates from the same spot you guys are mentioning. And on this, I clean up garbage in a Wasteland World. It's relatively a new work, too. It was published in Chinese mainland in January 2025. And then on March the 31st, 2026, just very recently, the story was officially approved for adaptation into a seasonal series, planning to run for 2 seasons. So, we're going to see it instead of just read it soon.
Yeah, and another thing is that I read that through the idea of pollution sources, the novel reflects modern psychological struggles while also exposing a hidden web of control evolving cleaning companies, artificial intelligence, and pharmaceutical companies that quietly shape the world behind the scenes. Does that sound serious enough to you?
Sounds oddly familiar. Yeah, right. A cool story. I clean up garbage in a wasteland world. You can check that out. And that will conclude our 5-part special series. As a matter of fact, it was brought to you in partnership with Apple Podcasts. We hope that you've enjoyed the series as much as we have, and we hope as well that perhaps you found the inspiration needed to pick up a book.